We live in an age where information is readily accessible at our fingertips. However, not all information is always available on cue. Today we will be learning about how to use microfilm and microfilm readers. Microfilm, though a tricky medium, is often an important part of the research process. Learning a new medium requires work, much like learning how to read a newspaper for the first time. Today, we will be learning how to find microfilm and save copies of it for future use. This tutorial will teach how to locate microfilm in the stacks at the UNO library, how to successfully operate the microfilm reader, and how to scan and save images as PDF files from the microfilm reader. Part 1. How to find the appropriate reel of microfilm. This is a map of where the different microfilms are in the library in relation to each other. The microfilms can be found behind the help desk on the first floor. Closest to the help desk, there are the microfilm newspapers, and then it breaks into a section of microfilm which uses Library of Congress call numbers, much like the rest of the library's collection. There is a break in the collection of microfilms for the document maps and other maps. This is where the microfilm collection starts. It is at the back of the help desk. Here is an example of one of the filing cabinets which contains microfilms of newspapers. As you can see, they are sorted chronologically, or by date. Here is an example of some of the microfilms which are sorted by Library of Congress call number. This is what it looks like when you open one of the filing cabinets. As you can see, there are many different microfilms on many different subjects available. When you are finished using the microfilms, please return them to this basket. It is located next to the microfilm reader. Review. You want to look up historical reviews of plays from Chicago. Where would be a good place to start your search? A good place to start would be to go to the library catalog and look up different newspapers from Chicago. We have the Chicago Tribune available on microfilm. Then, you would limit your search by selecting the appropriate date that you would like to get the newspaper from, and start scanning the microfilm. Part 2. How to use the microfilm reader. Please remember to turn on the microfilm reader and restart the computer at the beginning of your session. The power button for the microfilm reader is on the lower left side. If you do not restart the computer after turning on the microfilm reader, the computer will restart when you first try and save a PDF. This is a microfilm scanner attached to a computer. Essentially, it performs the same function as something that scans a normal piece of paper would. However, since we're dealing with microfilm, it's a bit more complicated. The microfilm must first be projected onto the screen on the left, and then it can be captured on the screen to the right. It works in both analog and digital formats at the same time. Let's take a closer look at the microfilm reader and learn how to load the microfilm. The metal spool is the part where you will actually begin to load the microfilm. The whole apparatus can actually be moved forward and backwards depending on your needs. There is also a glass tray in case you are using microfiche. Please take note of the black button on the left side. Most often it will be in the top setting. However, there are instances in which the bottom setting will be used. This is because some of the microfilm is loaded forwards or backwards. Select which one is appropriate. If the microfilm image is inverted when you begin to observe it, then try switching sides. After you place the reel of microfilm onto the metal peg, begin to feed it through the 2 rubber pegs. There is a blue button which can be used to further feed the film. Remember to feed it underneath the glass slide. After you have loaded the microfilm far enough onto the right side, you should be able to use the slider on the lower right hand corner of the screen in order to advance the film. On the right, you will notice a switch which can change the aperture of light coming through from the bottom. This is important because it can be used to make the microfilm brighter or darker. Here is an example of microfilm which is well lit. Here is an example of microfilm which is not as well lit. Thankfully, the microfilm that I used in this example is of good quality. However, there are some instances in which microfilm is lower quality and it becomes very difficult to read on the scanner, so please remember to use the aperture. The lens of the microfilm reader itself is also very important. There are 3 settings on it: rotation, focus, and zoom. Each of these are essential for making a good copy of a microfilm. Also, there are additional lenses available at the help desk if the microform you are using is too large or too small to be easily read. There are lenses which can accommodate this. There are additional settings for microforms available near the screen. These settings do not affect anything on this screen, but rather when you save it onto a computer. Most importantly, on the left, there are settings which determine whether you're using a negative microfilm or a positive one. In the center, there are also buttons for contrast. These are the most important ones. Most of the time, it should auto-adjust. However, if you are dissatisfied with its performance, please feel free to adjust it. Here is an example of a microfilm which is projected on the screen and looks good. Review. If the microfilm showing up on the reader is too small, what solutions are available? The 2 main solutions to this problem would be to 1. Adjust the zoom on the microfilm lens, or 2. In extreme circumstances, ask the help desk for a lens which can zoom better. Part 3. Scanning microfilm as PDF images. Please remember to restart your computer before scanning if you have not already done so. First, double-click the Capture Perfect icon. Open the File menu and select Scan to Batch. If you want to save each page individually, select Scan to Page instead. If you select Scan to Batch, after each slide you want to scan, click Continue Scanning. When you are finished, click Stop Scanning. Although there are boxes on the screen to the left, which help you gauge where your document will scan, there is some difficulty in the transition from analog to digital, and so parts of the image will be cropped. Please adjust them accordingly until you are satisfied. Review. If you already do the research on microfilm and you take down the information you need, what do you think the importance is of saving digital copies? Even if you have notes and proper citations, saving digital copies is important because if an idea in your project changes, you may want to revise what you use from that source. Through this presentation today, you should have a good, functional understanding of how to find, use, and scan microfilm in the library. While some of you may not find this type of research to be as pertinent as internet research, there are still many important documents stored on microfilm, and they are frequently necessary to one's academic career. Practice. Let's try one last example. Try this one on your own. Think about different ways in which this PDF scan might be improved, and complications that might arise from issues with it.